Alright, so I am at home and I am going to record the text messages between me and my parole agent from Friday, Friday, September 30th until today. So on Friday, I asked him at to about a offer from a United Mailing Services to work for them, and my parole agent sent me a text back asking me, would you be delivering mail to every home? And this is where the conversation, I took the conversation after he asked me that. Mostly because I have an experience with my parole agent mentioning rules that or trying to mention rules about me being a sex offender to me at any opportunity that he can. And I basically understood that this text message was about being a sex offender. Like, it would be delivering mail to every home, door to door. I would know, well, to any address, like mail, anything that requires me to go inside someone's home. I know already that I wouldn't be allowed to work there. So I would never go to a job where somebody was trying to get me to go into someone's home or deliver or be able to work for the post office, because felons can't work for the post office. So, and my parole agent would know that the only people delivering mail door to door would be people who work for the post office. So this question, I think he waited all weekend to prepare this question and ask me this question to remind me, the best question he could, to remind me that I was a sex offender for no reason, or as an insult, to insult me, or as harassment. And that's what parole agents do. They think they're really smart, so they play a psychological game. They play a level of psychological games that insults people, and it's hard for someone to understand that. It's hard to explain the harassment to somebody else. So I told him, would that make a difference if the company was still willing to hire me? I said, more harassment, huh? I'm not working for the post office. Those are the only people who deliver mail to every home. This company is called United Mailing Service. No, and I also told him, no, I wouldn't be delivering to homes. He responded, it would make a difference. What would your job be at United Mailing Service? And I asked him to explain why it would make a difference. And then I explained what the job was. I told him it's a mail processing company. You process mail and drive it to post offices in bulk. That's not true. We only pick up mail from different locations. I thought we delivered it to the post office, but we pick up mail in bulk. And my job is to pick up mail in bulk. I guess someone just told me that. And then to deliver it to different locations. To the warehouse, not to any addresses. So you process mail and drive it to the post office in bulk. I did the same work at Walco. What is your problem with that? He said, I don't have a problem. I'm asking you about the employment you requested. If the job is driving mail in bulk to the post office from the mail sorting agency, you are approved. You are not approved to go door to door. So again, this is where my parole agent was trying to get me to, just trying to mention a rule that I'm not allowed to deliver mail door to door without at all. Well, I have in the past, but he's telling me I'm not allowing you to do that, and I'm checking to see. I was checking to see if the job you have was going to violate one of the rules you have. I just explained to him here that what my job detail was. So it was to process mail before and not drive it it was to process mail and not to have that mail delivered to different homes door to door, like a person who works for the post office would do, which is impossible for a felon. A felon would not be able to deliver mail door to door because the felon is a felon, and he would not be able to work for the post office. And my parole agent is a sex offender felon specialist. So in order for me to be his parolee, he has to be a sex offender specialist. So that guy would know what jobs a sex offender could work at without before. Yeah, the guy would know what jobs sex offenders could work at, and what jobs they couldn't. So he knows for sure that no sex offender would ever be able to deliver mail door to door to anyone. He would know that as a sex offender parolee specialist. He knows exactly what jobs felons can't have and what jobs sex offenders can't have. That is his job. So he doesn't need to ask me if the company I work for is a door-to-door mail delivery company, because he knows that company would never hire me to work for them because I am a sex offender. So there's no way around it. The question was unnecessary, and it was only asked. The text in the question was only asked to hurt my feelings or to remind me that I'm a sex offender. And my parole agent keeps doing that. He keeps reminding me of rules that I have unnecessarily. So if the thing I'm trying to do is okay, it's like I'm approved, like I'm already allowed to do it, he will mention a rule that would not allow me to do that. Like just for your information, this is not allowed for you to do. You can't do this. Or just to unnecessarily reiterate or restate rules that I'm already well aware of. It's harassment. He's trying to antagonize you by telling you things you already know. It's a form of harassment. So, I asked him if there's a rule stating that I can't deliver to homes. I work for FedEx and I delivered to homes for them. My parole approved that. So instead of addressing this text that I sent him about FedEx, he ignored it. He knew that this text was really important or really meaningful because I worked for FedEx before, and this person is telling me that you cannot. Now he's not acknowledging that. He's not acknowledging that at some point I was allowed to deliver packages door to different. It wasn't door to door, but it was to different homes. And this dude decided to ignore that. Well, it's not the same job, but it's close. It's relative. It's relatively close. But it's irrelevant. I would never be able to allow to deliver mail door to door anywhere. And my parole agent would know that. You would already know that there is no company that would hire me to deliver mail or anything else door to door. So he made sure that I heard this, or that he texted this exactly the way he wanted me to read this. You are a registered sex offender, and I will not approve you to go door to door. This man is trying his best to antagonize, to use passive aggressive attitude to hurt my feelings. Well, not. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. It's probably you probably do. You probably do. You can pretty much read into what he's saying. So I asked, something changed? Why are you preventing that from happening now? If that's not the work you're applying for, then this is a non-issue. So he's ignoring, he's denying, he's not allowing me to address the issue, address my questions, because I think he likes to not answer questions. He feels powerful only when he does not answer my questions. So this dude is using psychology. So using psychology while working as a parole agent, he took someone's teaching him psychology and telling him to use those all the psychological things we could teach you on your parole agent, on me, John Lattimore. So, or any other parolee we tell you to. So this guy is using the standpoint, taking a stance instead of being open to answering my questions. He's taking a stance and not allowing and refusing to answer my questions. It's a wrong stance to take as a parole agent. You should be open to questions. You should be open in answering all questions your parolee has for you. So I told him I have a right to ask you questions, and learn the reasoning for your decisions. This is still an issue because I want to know why you made that decision. I do believe you already knew it was a sorting facility and what the job entailed before you asked. I think solely to remind me that I was a sex offender given the opportunity from the job approval request. So I'm saying that I think he took an opportunity because I asked him for a job to be able to work somewhere to make to remind me that I'm a sex offender unnecessarily. It's highly unlikely I would have a job offer delivering mail door to door for a company like the post office. I told him more harassment, huh? And I told him my hours, and I doubted that he didn't know already, because I believe as soon as you tell your parole agent who you're trying to work for, they call the company. They will call the company and tell them that you are a sex offender and that we want to know everything that you know. And he's telling me right now, someone is telling me right now that they ask them to participate in any means to rehabilitate this person in the community. So sexual harassment. So constructive sexual harassment to get this person to be gay. So my parole agent is doing his part as working on behalf of the Department of Corrections to use aggression and antagonism, and then to use make sure that whenever I see him, there's a gay person, openly gay person in his office. So when I arrive at his office, if I see him, he's trying to make sure that I'm angry or I feel hostile towards him, or to make me feel hostile towards him. And then he makes sure that there's a gay person there or something that I can have sex with, because they believe that anger and aggression leads to sex, leads a person to want to have sex with whoever is willing to have sex with them. So you can have a guy act like a girl, bend over like a girl would, or look at you like a girl would, and you'll want to that you'll turn that anger and aggression into having sex with that person. So my parole agent is trying to get me angry and aggressive, and then to show up at his office and make sure that there's a gay dude there waiting for him, a gay dude waiting there for me, or he'll make gay movements for like 2 or 3 seconds, and then act like he didn't do any gay movements for those 2 or 3 seconds. So I told him I already know you probably called the guy I work for. Oh, he's telling me right now, or someone's telling me right now that they just talk to people. Just because this guy, your boss, the guy who hired you worked at that company, doesn't mean that my parole agent and this guy couldn't meet or know each other before outside of that, like from a phone call. So like a professional phone call. So it could be a personal phone call or social networking, or part of the gay community. So if people in the gay community know each other, they probably talk to each other and make these decisions with each other. Or they can use technology that people years ago put inside the bodies of kids who've grown up and used this technology their whole lives to communicate, to talk to each other and make decisions with each other to harass someone. So my parole agent and this guy, I believe the guy. Well, my parole agent could do that. So that's the one of the many ways that my parole agent could have already spoken to the person that I work for, and I told him that. So he responded, "If you have an issue with the decision based on your record and community supervision requirements, please fill out a DOC 127, and it will be reviewed accordingly." So as a registered sex offender, you are not permitted to go door to door in the community. I already know that. I'm pretty well aware that you aren't allowed to go door to door or go inside someone's home with your occupation. But that's up to the parole agent. I firmly believe it's up to the parole agent. I don't have a rule saying that I can't go door to door. I think that parole agents make up rules, or they can. And I don't know when he wrote this, I had no idea what a DOC 127 is. So he's using, I don't know what he's doing, but you could just file a complaint, not a DOC 127. Nobody knows what that is. So I think that's a form of harassment because it requires information, me to know more information than a normal person would. So he's trying to insult you. He's being disrespectful. He's being not open, but just openly disrespectful or subtly disrespectful. Your sentiment speaks louder than your words, is what I told him. Is a DOC 127 a complaint? Unnecessarily reminding parolees of the crime they've committed is a form of harassment. You use it as an insult. You're trying to. And I will file a complaint about your attitude and harassment, not the rules. Again, you asked why I did not approve you to go door to door in the community, and I gave you my reason. If you're upset with the reason, you can file a DOC 127 for it to be reviewed. It is not my intent to insult you. This is not harassment. You are on supervision and are being held to that supervision. Well, technically, I already knew this. Wait, kind of, not really. But I did know this. I didn't have to be reminded of something I already knew. And he keeps reminding me of that. It's like it's harassment. It is to tell someone to do something they already know, not to do something they already know not to do, is a form of harassment. And I told him that as we go down. I told him that already. So and I'm not upset with the reasoning he had to file the DOC 127. I'm upset with his how he treats how he chooses to treat his parolees. And like I explained to you guys, taking a robotic stance towards your parolee is insulting. It's harassment, and it's inappropriate, and that's what I'm complaining about, or I'm going to complain about. And to mention you are on supervision and being held to that supervision is more like a opportunity to remind someone they're a sex offender. So he's constantly trying to remind me that I'm a sex offender on probation in the community, and that's not what a professional parole agent does. You're not supposed to remind people that your parolee is on probation. You're supposed to be trying to get them to think about being in the community, not as a parolee, but as a member of the community. But this guy is taking a stance to constantly insult me and try to tell me that I'm a parolee. So I told him it's common sense that no felons would get a job offer to deliver mail for the post office or a company like the post office, especially sex offenders. Those are government jobs. You, as a parole agent and a person in our society, should already know that. Regardless of what you believe, what you just did is a form of harassment. You're using your power as a parole agent to facilitate it. I don't imagine I'll file a complaint about a rule I have to follow. I never have. I am filing complaints about the way you choose to interact. You spent the entire weekend thinking of the best question to remind me that I was a sex offender. At no point after I informed you of the job detail did you have to inform me of a rule that I was not allowed to deliver door to door. It was unnecessary. It was harassment. That was harassment. You should have stopped at "you are approved." That's all the information you needed to tell me. You didn't have to approve me and then bring up any rules I have to follow afterwards to remind me of what I couldn't do. That's harassment. And then he replied, I'd be happy to go through the rules of supervision with you and sex offender requirements at our next office to visit and make sure you are compliant. So I don't know what that compliant crap, what he meant by compliant, unless he's trying to say I may be not following other rules. I don't know. But the rules of supervision don't directly state that you can't go door to door at any job. I don't have a rule right now that says I cannot go door to door, but I do have rules like sex offender requirements. He could probably say that you are required to do what your parole agent tells you to do. That's a rule. So he's probably going to use that to decide as his deciding factor to not let me go work for a job that delivered something door to door. So, like I said earlier, I think that's something that people choose. Like a parole agent decides for himself if he's going to allow that to happen. But if you find a company that allows you to do that, deliver something door to door, I imagine that it's up to your parole agent ultimately. So what does that have to do with what I just texted you? So he's on a whole nother. He's not responding to any text messages that I tell him. I think to protect himself. So he doesn't directly ever answer any questions I text him or any statements I make towards him. He'll use that routine, parole agent to reiterate like rules or policies instead of explaining himself. So and he's gonna ask me to sign more rules. So every time I come in to see my parole agent, he's been trying to get me to sign rules, like repeatedly sign the rules of my supervision. So every time I come in, he has more rules, like the same rules to sign again. So I've signed my rules of supervision with this guy maybe 4 times, and if I do it again, it's probably my 5th time. So I've been on probation for over 5 years, and I've never had to sign rules of supervision as much as I have with this parole agent. So what does that have to do with what I just texted you? Mentioning any rules that I'm not breaking or not about to break is a form of harassment. If you don't understand what I'm asking you, or if you don't understand what I'm asking, if you don't understand, I am asking you to stop harassing me. What other rules do you believe I'm not compliant? You need to change that office visit to a morning time I have to work from 12 to 7. So, okay, right here, it's obvious that there's an attitude. You could read attitude in this. You could probably read attitude in all of his messages as well. So, if you see attitude in my messages, you can probably see attitude in my parole agent's messages. And he cannot initiate a text message with his parolee that involves attitude. So I didn't say you weren't compliant. You're not being harassed. So this really makes me mad. He likes to, like a victim. A lot of people who know that they hurt somebody like to tell the person they hurt that I didn't hurt you. I didn't do anything to you. But they did. They did do something to hurt you. And this is the tactic that my parole agent is taking it's meaningless because he's not going to get in trouble for anything, but to insult me, to hurt my feelings further, or to antagonize me, aggravate. Maybe I don't have hurt feelings, but it's to aggravate a person. So to tell them that what they just told you didn't happen. It's aggravating. And he knows that. He knows every psychological means to harass somebody. Probably someone's helping him do these psychological things to me. So he then texted me, I can schedule you October 18th at 11 a.m. And he reminded me to file a DOC 127 instead of telling me that that's a complaint. Why don't you just say you can file a complaint, not a DOC 127? He keeps writing that. Like he knows it's nothing. He won't be in trouble for it. So nothing's gonna. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I believe it's for no reason. That what's gonna come of that DOC 127 is nothing. So I told him to stop telling me I'm not being harassed. I always have to do that. I have to tell him to stop texting me in certain ways, and he won't. I have to constantly tell this dude to stop texting me in certain disrespectful ways, and he's using his power as a parole agent to force me to respond to his text messages, however he likes to send them. So. You are not going. I told him you're not going to get me to believe differently. We'll be there. And harassment is defined as a repetitive behavior you don't like. I don't like you mentioning rules I have to follow unnecessarily. That's what you do often. And then he replied that I changed your appointment to October 18th at 11 a.m. To, I don't know, make some point. He doesn't like to address any of the text messages directly if he can avoid answering or responding to any of my text messages, he will. I mean, honestly, he should, because it's wrong if he doesn't. That's what I honestly believe. I mean, I directed my questions to him, and I directed my issue to him, and to keep himself from getting in trouble. Because if he explained himself, he would have to be honest, and he would probably get in trouble for his reasoning or his true feelings, or explaining his attitude towards me in a text message will probably get him in trouble. I think he avoids it, and that's why he doesn't answer any of the text messages. Because if he were to be honest, he wouldn't be able to reply. And if he chose to lie, it would be obvious that this dude is making up a lie, and you can get caught. People get caught in lies, so they tell you to be quiet, don't answer it, ignore it, and say something related to your work. Well, say something you can get away with, like state a rule, state something that won't get you. Well, you can say without getting in trouble. And I think that's what my parole agent is doing, and he's talking to me right now in my home. This dude, Klingenberg, this man has the technology, the ability to talk to me while I'm in my home. At any point in time, anytime someone brings up my parole agent or a parole agent, this dude has the ability to speak to me. So I know I'm using this cell phone to explain things to you, but in reality, this cell phone isn't the only way this man is able to communicate with me or show himself to me. He can flash an image of himself in front of my eyes with technology. He can also talk to me or tell me things with technology. So while I'm texting and using this phone to communicate with him like I have to, he is also using another form of technology to harass me. It's in my body. It probably is in his body or the person sitting next to him, that he is flashing his face in front of their eyes, and their eyes are capturing his image, and that image is being sent to my body, to me, with technology somewhere in my body. So that's what's going on. If you guys want to, if you guys are interested in this, or you want to help me, if you're interested in helping me, do whatever you can.